Hey y'all, welcome to Marcy in the Middle, a podcast about transitions and the middle of life. Here we talk about everything from relationships to finding your place in the world and lots more. We'll talk with friends from all walks of life and find out what they've learned along the way. So whether you feel young or old or somewhere in between, this is the place for you. Welcome to the middle. Hi, and welcome to Marcy in the Middle. I am excited because I've got my friend Kristi Usher Harbuck with us today. Welcome, Kristi.
Thank you.
We've been talking about this for a little while, and we're finally getting around to it. Kristi has an amazing story. Just like everyone else's, it's got some highs and lows, and she has very graciously agreed to share it, and y'all are going to love it. I'm sure 99% of the people listening already know and love Kristi, and we're going to hear a little bit about her story and maybe something you don't know. But I guess we'll just start right off. Kristi, tell me a little bit about where you grew up and how you grew up.
Okay, so my name is Kristi Harbuck now.
Yes.
Everyone still calls me Kristi Usher because I think a lot of that is attached to the name of my business. But so I grew up in Shady Point, Oklahoma. I graduated from Panama High School in 1996. So yes, I'm like, am I 46?
I don't know.
I think I'm 46.
You're younger than me.
Something like that. So I graduated from Panama High School in 96, and I had, I grew up on a chicken farm, a cattle ranch, like they had.
In
like
the country.
That goes together. Yes. Way out, 15 minutes from town. Like it was really normal childhood. Like you don't around here hear of people growing up on a chicken farm. But when I say chicken farm, I mean like hundreds of thousands of chickens.
Yes. The chicken we eat.
Oh, yeah. The chicken we eat, yes.
Okay.
So that's how I grew up. I grew up working, and there wasn't anything that my brother did that I wasn't expected to do as well. So we grew up working hard, and it was really normal. It was a good childhood. I didn't have any like nothing exciting, no drama, nothing traumatic ever happened. It was just good.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot, and I am where I am because of what my parents taught me.
That's good.
So,
yes, you're still working extremely hard.
Yeah.
And just
Harder
doing
than
something
I
a little
want.
different.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so where did you go to school?
So I graduated high school, and then I went 2 years at Eastern in
Okay.
Wilburton, and then I went on to OSU. I met my first husband, Kelly. I met him at Eastern
Okay.
in Wilburton, Oklahoma, and he was a year ahead of me. So he went to OSU. I ended up going to OSU, and that's where we both graduated from.
Okay. What'd you graduate? What's your degree in?
My degree is in animal science.
Are you kidding?
No.
So she's half a vet.
I'm an ANSI major, and I thought I might go to vet school, but I had ag scholarships, so that's why I majored in, I had to major in something ag. I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I never had anything that I just grew up wanting to do.
Yes.
Even when I graduated college, still had no clue what I wanted to do. And I ended up getting my teacher certification, and I taught school for 17 years, kindergarten mostly. The last, 13, 14, the last 14 of it was kindergarten.
Did you teach at Tushka the whole time?
I taught at Ferris.
Okay.
Ferris is not even there. The
Right.
school is not even there anymore. It was a K-8 school that, I don't know, 10 or more years ago closed down. But I taught third grade. And then I moved to Tushka, and I taught first grade for 2 years. And then I took the kindergarten position when the kindergarten teacher retired, Marlita Hardman, and she was good as gold. Loved her to death. Learned so much from her. Yeah. And I took her spot, and now I quit, and Denham Miller took my spot.
The torch gets passed.
Yes.
And in our town, that's a good.
Yeah.
That is a good. Well, in every town, that's a good job. But it's fun when you.
It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, it is a great, rewarding job.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so tell us literally how you met Kelly, or give us the romance story in a nutshell.
It's not very romantic. So my roommate, which she was only my roommate for a minute because she was very strange and that didn't work out. But
If you're listening,
I don't even remember.
we don't know her name, so
I don't
she's
even
safe.
remember her name. That's right. So she was kind of flirting, talking to Kelly's roommate, and wanted to go over to their dorm one night, and it was like the first day there, and I realized I saw soap in his like drawer that was half open in their dorm room, and I was like, I didn't bring any soap. Like, I moved to college and I didn't bring any soap. And he gave me a bar of soap, and that's kind of how we met.
The rest is history.
Yeah. It was Coast.
That's right. It's a dear, an endearing story.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys get married, and then you moved to Atoka.
Yes. So he grew up here in Atoka, and all of his family was here.
Yes.
He graduated a semester before me, so he went ahead and moved back, started working.
Okay.
We got married as soon as I graduated in December of 2000. I graduated in December of 99.
Yes.
And we got married in April of 2000.
Okay.
And then started having kiddos.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
Like, that's what you do.
That is what you do.
Get married, started having kids. We had 3. We have Millie, she'll be 22 on Sunday, and Tatum is 18, and Newt is 14. He's fixing to be 15.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
it
crazy.
still seems like he should be running around in his little T-Rex
I know.
Halloween costume.
He's still just as cute.
Yes, he is. He is absolutely just as cute.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Had the kids, had the, honestly, really, really good marriage.
Yeah.
We were happy. It was easy. Like, there wasn't any, like, it was just good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And you guys built a house?
Mm-hmm. We built a
land,
house.
Built a house.
We bought 180 acres, got some cows. He did heat and air. Like, his dad had a heat and air company, and that's what they did. I was teaching and had the 3 kids, built the house, like, pretty much, I would say my dream house. Like, it was exactly how I wanted it, way out in the country, right in the middle of the 180 acres, because I didn't want to see any other houses. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
So you're just basically living out your dream, and
before, like, we get too much further into the story and, like, hear what, how things went down. We were talking about this earlier. I was at a girls' night. Amy Cochran started a girls' night, and she literally invited everyone. She didn't just, it was like, like church associated, it was like, we did like kind of a little Bible study. Somebody gave their testimony every time. Yeah. But it wasn't to the point that anyone felt uncomfortable. Yeah. And that's what I loved about it. So she invited everyone in town. I'd only lived in Atoka a couple of years. Okay. She invited me, and so I was at that. I'd been to a few of them, and they did like small groups where you play a game, and then you broke up into whatever small group that you ended up in, and you got to meet different people. And it was so good for me at the time, because in a town that I only lived in a couple of years, and I don't remember what the like topic was or what got us on this, but I was like, things just feel too good. Like, I have like the husband, I graduated college, got my job, got the house I want, got everything was like so good. And I felt like, how is everything so good? You know, like something's bound to happen.
Did you think that? Like something's bound to happen? Or you're just thinking?
I thought that, like, it was almost unbelievable. Yeah. Like, I loved my life, and it was just like, wow. And I was talking about that in this small group, and Susan Ritter said, you can't take credit for that. That is God blessing you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was a new Christian at the time. And I was like, huh.
Susan took you behind the woodshed.
She took me down a notch.
That's right. We love you, Susan.
Right. So I've always remembered that is not like all the blessings in my life is not, it's not me.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Anyway,
and she was right, but
she was
but it was like
right.
a little bit shocking too.
So we're married. I think we were married for almost 14 years, 13. I don't know. Anyway, and he kept having pain in his abdomen.
Yeah.
And it was like when we'd Google, which you shouldn't. Like,
I know. Yeah.
Go to the doctor without going to the doctor. You Google it. So we had decided that he had gallstones. He had all the symptoms of it. And we had, actually, my now husband's wife, we went to church together.
Yeah.
She, his wife at the time, was an ultrasound tech at the Durant Hospital. And we had talked to her at church one Sunday morning. She was like, well, come up in the morning and I'll just look and see if it's gallstones. Yeah. So we did. We met her there like kind of before they opened, and she just looked, and she is actually the person who found the cancer.
Really?
Yeah.
Ugh,
I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. So she printed it out and ran it upstairs to a doctor, and like by the end of the day and a few more tests, they come back and told us that we had the kids with us. We were just running there
you're
for
just
a minute
literally
to let
doing
her
a
look.
check.
All 3 kids were with us. And by the end of the day, they came back and were like, we need to do a biopsy at like 6 a.m. And I was like, a biopsy?
Yeah.
Is that like, isn't that for looking for cancer? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, not concerned at all.
Right.
I was like, those things don't happen to us.
Yeah.
Like, you just think, you take life for granted, and you just think that things are going great, and those things don't happen to us.
Yeah. Well, you're young and healthy, and
he was healthy. Like, he was 30. Well, he was 37 when he passed away, so he was probably like 35, maybe 34. I can't remember when he was diagnosed. And you just think you don't think about that.
You don't.
Never in a million years crossed my mind that he would have cancer. Even on the way down there, his dad went down with us. We went for the biopsy the next morning, and then we had to go back at like 10 the next morning for the results. And it was Dr. Hedberg, I think was his name, in Durant, and he told us that, yes, it is cancer, and it's for stage 4, and there's no cure. And
man,
he started trying to find where he wanted to send us, and he said, but yeah, he'll have a few months. Like, it was bad.
Yeah. And I didn't realize
I never
you knew
thought until it come out of his mouth. Like, even though they did a biopsy and we were going back the next morning to get the results, I never thought for a minute that it would actually be cancer. I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist, and I just I never thought it would be until it came out of his mouth.
Wow.
So,
and he knew immediately. And did they know what kind of cancer it was? That
they knew exactly what it was.
Time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was bile duct cancer, which it's cholangiocarcinoma is the fancy name for it. And there are, it's very, very rare.
Yeah.
And mostly seen in in like Asia.
Okay.
In older men.
Yes.
Like, it's very rare here.
Yeah.
But coincidentally, Tracy Lofton's husband died of the exact same cancer, like maybe a year and a half. I don't know. Like,
literally, they were
a year or
battling
two
it.
Before Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah. At the same time.
Yes.
Which
was just a
the
freak
odds
deal
of that?
because it's super rare.
Yeah.
So it was stage 4, and we got to, we looked at different cancer centers. We looked at, obviously, MD Anderson and UT Southwestern in Dallas, and Kelly wanted to go to Dallas because he didn't want to be away from his kids.
No.
Like, our kids were little.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be away from them and be gone to Houston so much. So,
Yeah.
and we felt really, really comfortable with UT Southwestern. Prayed about it a lot, and it was just like, it was very clear that's where we needed to be. So we went to Dallas every Friday for a year and did 8-hour chemo treatments.
Yeah.
I sat there while he slept because they give him Benadryl before he starts, and he would sleep through the 8 hours, and I would sit in this tiny room with him every year, or every Friday for a year. And thankfully I had, like, my coworkers, the school was wonderful. I was able to be off work for every Friday for a year, and I never lost a day of pay. Had other teachers covered for me, and they were wonderful. And then after that year, it was growing. It was not maintaining anymore. And the doctor said there was anything else he could do. So, of course, what do I get on the internet? And I find somewhere that would do something. So we went to, I got him into a trial at Cancer Treatment Centers of America in Chicago. It was just outside of Chicago. So we flew to Chicago every 2 weeks for the next year.
Was it
Mind
a whole
you, he
year?
was supposed to make it a few months.
Yes. Yeah.
We went to Chicago for a year. Every couple of weeks we flew up there for treatment, and he would do a treatment here in Denison in between, and that doctor worked with him. But we had to go up there. I mean, it was very expensive. It was exhausting. It was like unbelievably stressful. And when you hear all of the bad side effects of chemo, he had every single one. Like, it was, we're in our second year of this now, and it was bad. It was hard. He had all of it was rough.
Just sickness and nausea and
so we flew up there for a year doing treatment and seeing doctors, and spent literally every dime we had. We were broke by that time. We had spent all of our savings. We had, after a year there, they said that it wasn't working anymore, and there wasn't anything else they could do. So I got on the internet, and I found a doctor that would do something.
Do something.
So, I found a trial in Nashville we got him into, and it was just a few months of going there, and it never worked. Like, there was never any success with that one. And so when you do a clinical trial, there has to be a period where the chemo or whatever treatment you're on has to be completely out of your system before you go to another one. So I had another one lined up at MD Anderson next, but in the period that he was waiting for that trial to be out, he didn't make it to that next one. So he passed away in December, 2 weeks before Christmas. Our kids were, I guess Millie was 11, Tatum was 8, and Newt was 4. And the whole time, like, especially early on, he was so determined because he wanted Newt to be big enough to remember him. And there's times, like, I can tell he genuinely remembers something, but most of what he remembers is what we've told him. We talk about him and tell him. You know?
And you see pictures and Well, so, I remember, and you're not prepared for that.
No,
and that is,
you just think those things happen to other people, but we're like just normal people, and they happen to us normal people. Anyway, so he passed away in December, 2 weeks before Christmas, and you can imagine how hard Christmas was that year. My family was there, like my family all come here to my house, and like just tried to help us get through it. And then we started trying to
rebuild or heal or just
trying to
breathe,
figure
honestly.
out how
Yeah.
to,
Yeah. If you had to, unfortunately, it seems like since James and Kelly, those were maybe our first two friends who had passed away so young. I may not be remembering someone, so I'm sorry if I'm not. But those were so close together, so rare, and two literally of the best people I've known. And we say that like that matters, and in death and real life stuff that it does not matter. It's just so shocking, and like you're saying, it's so out of the norm.
If those things don't like open your eyes to not taking life for granted every day, I don't know what would.
Yeah, I don't either. And I can remember at James's funeral, Bruce and Kelly going to that funeral, and I knew at that point, I mean, that was later on, I mean, he was not getting better. And I will never forget them walking down the aisle during that service to pay their respects. And I thought, how hard is that? And like, your heart is so good and pure that you would go comfort someone else in the midst of your own, just the trial of that. And that says what kind of person Bruce and Kelly were. And of course, Michael grew up with Kelly, so we knew all of his, he was funny and ornery and all of the good things.
I have the female version of Kelly.
Yes, you do. That's right. You're not going to escape.
My middle one, Tatum, she's 18, and literally everything down to her earlobes looks just like him. Her hands look just like his. She has to be the life of the party. All she's worried about is having fun.
Yeah. And it's like, it's awesome because even to me looking out, and I know for you and for Bruce and Kim and Natalie, like it's amazing and just really fun to watch because you do see him honestly in all three of the kids. But
she was just like, a little girl when he passed away, but there's so many things that she does, like facial expressions, that I'm just like, how can she?
Has to be straight through the genes. It
has to be genetic.
That's right. That is, that's good. What would you say during that time? I digressed and got diverted, but since then, it seems like now often we have friends who are going through cancer or other things, but illness that's chronic illness. What would you say, what helped you, what was comforting to you and Kelly during that time?
We had so many friends. I mean, obviously family, my parents and his parents, that did so much for us, but also so many friends that you come home and your yard's mowed, and like something I will never ever forget when after Kelly passed away, Amy Cochran brought Marcy's sister-in-law.
Yes, my sister-in-law.
She brought meals to my house while I was gone to work. I would come home from work every Monday for a year. She did it for a year.
Yeah.
I think she was fasting as well on those days. But for a year, she brought meals to my house. My kids were so sad when that ended.
I know.
She's a wonderful cook.
She is a wonderful cook. We all love Aunt Amy's
Sometimes
cooking.
I would have to be like, okay, we have to have that recipe.
Right.
My kids still want me to cook things that Amy would leave at my house. I would come home and there would be something in the crock pot.
Yes.
And it's not just that. I had some close friends that just is who you talk to and cry to.
Yeah.
And,
that are still your best friends. I mean, today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would like to be that person.
Well, you are that person.
I really am not. I'm not in that area the way I want to be. Like, I want to do those things for people who are going through these things because I like know firsthand what it is. But I don't feel like I'm at a time in my life where I can.
Yeah. Well,
Hopefully
and thank God
within a few
currently right
years,
now I mean, you hope you never have a friend that needs you
Right.
to do that even.
But even
you,
if I
you
have to
are
look
that.
for someone who is not a
Yes,
close friend,
who's not a
like
close friend.
I,
Yeah.
I because I benefited and like it was like so important to me. It was so wonderful. I want to be able to do that for people, and I want to
Yes.
get to a time in my life where I feel like I can do that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm there yet,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
plan to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
So-
I think just sharing your story and which I know you do that and encourage other people, because I've got people currently that are benefiting from your kindness and your love. And I think when Michael had cancer, Amy knew a little of it was different, and his cancer was different, and so it had a different outcome, but she knew what it felt like. And so that was something she can do. And I feel like kindness does that. It replicates itself. And when you know and you've been through something.
Speaking of Michael's cancer, we were young
Yeah.
couple,
Yeah.
young kids, and he was basically self-employed. He worked for his dad's company, but there's no benefits. So we were
Right.
paying out of pocket for
Yes.
insurance through
Yes.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And it was expensive, Like we were young, we didn't have a lot of
No,
money, and
insurance is crazy.
he wanted to cancel his insurance, and I said, no. What if something happened like Michael Cochran? I was
Yes.
like, he was young and got cancer. That would like ruin us. It would like we would never see the end of the bills.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't let him cancel the
Yes.
insurance. And thank goodness.
Thank God. No
yeah,
kidding.
because he had
Yes.
great insurance. Like,
Yes.
I mean, still very expensive.
No, yeah.
But
I know.
I would have
Yeah.
never seen the end
Yeah.
of it had he
No.
not had that insurance. And, like one piece of advice I would like to give any walking,
Yes.
living person is life insurance. I don't have a ton on myself, but
Right.
I have enough to take care of anything that,
Yeah.
like my
you would need
expenses.
to. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but Kelly made sure that, like before he was ever sick, obviously, because you can't
Right.
get it.
Yeah, because you can't get it after. Yeah.
But everything was taken care of. He knew that he
Yeah.
had the peace that he knew
Yes.
if he didn't make it, I had enough life insurance to pay off everything, and I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like,
And
if he had not had the life insurance that he had, and it wasn't like I didn't have any left over,
Right.
but it
No,
paid
yeah.
for what we had,
Yes,
what we owed
that
money
you
on
owed.
our home.
Yeah.
If I hadn't had the life insurance, there's no way I could have, on my teacher salary with 3 kids, I couldn't have afforded our mortgage,
Yeah.
and I would have had to have sold our place.
Yeah. Which
So if
would
that
have.
had not been there, if I like could tell anyone how important life insurance is, like
Yeah.
there's no way I could have afforded it. I would have had to sold it,
Yeah.
but instead I paid it off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it
and
was a huge blessing,
that is.
and that was him being like,
Yes,
smart.
thinking ahead. Yeah. Well, and when you when we're talking about widowhood, it is crazy how many of my friends are widows. Almost a full 2 hands. Young people I taught with, people I'm related to, just friends that I know, people in our community that you know, and I'm like, that's crazy. Like,
yeah,
you think that when you're
Yeah, like,
75 or 80,
you can't take for granted.
You
that,
don't think of it.
That's all your perfect little life is always going to be there, because it might not.
yeah,
Anyway, so
yeah,
my kids were, did I say there? I think there were 4, 8, and 11 when he
yeah.
passed away. And I was really determined I didn't want my kids to grow up in a sad place. Like I wanted more than anything for my kids to grow up in a happy home.
yes,
And, even if I had to pretend half the time,
yeah, yeah,
I was determined my kids would laugh
Yes.
and have fun, and it would be a good environment in my house. And
well, and
I
it
would
was,
say that it was, like, for the most part, like there was a long time. It was hard. Like
yeah,
there was a lot of crying and like just really hard times. And so we had 180 acres and cows and like.
And cows have to eat
all
year long. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's 8 degrees outside, they have to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And my girls showed sheep.
Yes.
So there
I
was
forgot
that
about
to have.
that.
There was
Yes,
that
they
to have to
did.
tend to every night. And I mean, just so much to take care of.
Yes.
So you go to work all day, you come home and you have cows to feed, you have sheep to tend to and walk and tend to, and well, we had a few chickens too, which we didn't have to have those.
You had a farmette.
But my daughter wanted chickens for her birthday,
Yeah.
so Kelly had built her a little chicken
Yes.
coop, so we had to have the chicken.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot.
I cannot
of things.
imagine. How
we
old
had
were
a
you?
huge yard. How
Yes.
old was I?
Yeah.
When Kelly passed
Yes, when
away,
he passed
I was
away.
37. I was 36. He was 37.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it was a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
So
life does not stop.
It worked.
Yes.
It worked whenever, I don't know how it worked. If I had to do it now, it would not work, but
The Lord
I'm
was
spoiled.
with you.
I'm like, yeah.
And he had people around
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
And yeah.
But I was a teacher,
Yeah.
so in the summers, I would brush hog and spray weeds
Yes.
and all of that,
Yes.
all of those things that had to be
Yeah.
done. And in the winter, we fed cows, and Millie at 13
Yes.
was helping me put out hay. The kids
Yeah.
helped me.
Yes.
Like my kids
Yeah.
probably had to do more than any normal kid has to do
Yeah.
as far as like when they get home, what they had to do, and
Yeah.
not just tend to their show
Yeah.
animals, but
Yeah. Do you think that was somewhat healing on the backside of just
yeah.
keeping you together? And
Yeah, if I had
busy?
to just come home and have nothing to do, I would have probably sat in the house and cried all evening. Like
Yeah.
it kept me going.
Going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Millie turned 16, I think I had opened the story. It worked when she turned 16, she would take the kids to school in the morning, the other
Yes.
kids, and I would feed in the mornings, the
Yeah.
cows, put out hay and all that good stuff. And then, because if you didn't do it in the morning,
No,
you did
yeah,
it in the
it
dark
was
after
gonna
ball
be 10 at
games
night,
or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah. So it worked that year. The next year, Millie's 17. It was really hard.
Yeah.
And then once she graduated high school and she went to college, that's
Yeah.
when it got almost impossible. I had quit teaching and I opened my business, and I was working year round. I didn't have the summers off to do all
No.
of the things I did in the summer to like catch up and keep the place up.
Yeah.
And I finally just decided, like, I really don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And decided to sell my place,
Yeah.
which at that time I
Yeah.
had, okay, so I hadn't dated.
That's okay. Yeah. Back up.
At all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. At all.
My friends were always trying to like fix me up
Yes.
with people.
Because this is like how long after? I mean, well, Millie was 11, so she's 18. Or, no, she was
She's 22 now, so she was 20
20.
when I
Yeah.
remarried. Yeah. So it had been like.
Were you open to
7.5
dating?
Or
just then,
I
maybe?
finally kind of was, but no one asked me out. Like, honestly.
You're like, I'm
It
ready.
was just like, but I kind of think that was either my way or God's way
Yeah.
of protecting me from
Yes. All the
like,
crazy people.
I was not willing to expose my
No.
kids to anyone that I wouldn't have be a father figure to them.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do it. And so maybe the fact that like literally no one ever asked me
Yes.
out pretty much was, I mean, if somebody did, it was like,
No.
you know, no.
That's right. Sorry if you're listening. You did not make the cut.
Right. But maybe it was God's way of like helping me protect the kids, making it easier. But I went on a date one time with a guy, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years after Kelly passed away. And it was like so awkward and weird for one. And two, it was not someone I was going to like, would bring around my kids. And I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I hope he's not. Never hears this. That's right. But anyway, so I always had my friends were always trying to fix me up with someone.
Yes.
My dear friend Jennifer Griffin.
That's right.
Kept bringing
Shout out to the matchmaker.
Right. She deserves a prize.
Yes, she does.
Good.
That's right. She did good.
Yeah. So she like kept bugging me, telling me I should go out with Judge Harbuck.
Yes.
And obviously she was doing the same to him.
That's right.
Because he asked me out and I was like, I really should go on a date. I really should do this.
Yeah.
And I did, and literally the best thing I could have ever done. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And we were going to market at this time. You let me tag along a few times. So
yes,
I remember
forgot about that.
You were thinking hard. And I think it's good, like, it's good for people who might be in that position, like whether you've been divorced or you've lost your husband, to kind of think, like.
Remember he was in here one morning and you didn't
know?
know?
I did not know, but I did have a suspicion.
In here for something, and you were like, oh. And you like hurried right back
I got to
out.
go. I read the room eventually. I was like, I don't think he's shopping in here. So that's right. I forgot. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
That's right. But you were not, you did, there was a lot of thought that went into that, and probably prayer.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think that was, it's really good that you took your time. And I, amongst my other friends who are also widows, they have done that as well. And I think that it might be hard, because I know you have to be lonesome sometimes. And and just want someone to bounce something off of, like the companionship that you lose in that is the romance, yes, but just having a partner in life is.
There's so much that, like, there's so many nights and so many days that, like, you're just lonely and not willing to, like, I didn't have to have a man.
No.
I just wasn't that person.
Right.
That had to have that.
Yeah.
Like, my kids were number one.
Yes.
And there was no one going to be in my house or in my life that wasn't
good
like,
for them,
qualified to be
that's
a father
true.
figure for them.
Yes. Yeah.
So when that came along, I snatched him up.
That's right. It worked out well for both of you, and it's turned out well. Like, you took the time, you didn't hurry, you let your kids have a voice. And I'm like, it's not I mean, I'm not the one being interviewed, but I did watch you do that. And I'm like, I think if someone's looking like and just saying, how did you do it? The going slow and not forcing anything is good.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely. I wouldn't do anything differently. Like, all those years spent by myself raising my kids with the determination to, like, have my house be a happy place.
Yeah.
I would say that it was. Like, it was hard. Like,
Yeah.
as a mom, single mom, like, working. And as Susan would tell me, I cannot take credit for that. Yeah. Like, I could not have done it without God, like, leading me. And my family and Kelly's family, who is still my family. They're still my in-laws. Like, we're just as close as ever. I couldn't have done anything like that. Like, as a matter of fact, whenever I started dating Preston, like, not, like a couple of weeks after we started dating, I literally talked to Bruce about it before I went on a date with Preston.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, do it. Go.
Yeah.
Bruce is my father-in-law.
Yes.
Kelly's dad. For those of you who don't know.
Yeah.
He was all for it. And he said, as soon as, like, a couple weeks later, like, some kid in the family had a birthday and it was a family get-together, and they wanted to make sure Preston was coming. They just took him in, like, just like he's family. Yeah. So, and they treat him just like he's family.
Which is amazing and beautiful and
Yeah. Oh,
probably hard a little bit initially
yeah.
for them. And you just have the ultimate respect. And you were very gracious about how you brought him in.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I think, I mean, you can speak to this, but things can be really terrible and then they can get good again. And you don't always think, I mean, like when you're in the midst of the grief and 2 weeks before Christmas, when you've got babies and presents under the tree and you're like, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
You didn't want to. You didn't want to.
no.
I'm a very sentimental person, as are my kids.
Yeah.
Like we do the same thing every year at
Yeah.
Christmas. Everything's the same way.
Yeah.
We go to the same place on, like everything has to be the same every
Yeah.
year, and they expect like certain things on certain meals at,
Yeah.
you know, whatever
You've
holidays.
got a lot of family tradition.
Yeah. So, when all of that, it was looking like all of that would change, my kids were like, no, like we still want to do this the certain way.
Right.
They didn't want to change things. I wanted to like completely change things.
Yes,
I
just
didn't
run
want
away.
to do the same things without him. And then my kids wanted to. There were so many holidays and so many different occasions where I would just as soon stayed home and cried or
Yeah.
pouted.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like literally just stay home and pout and feel sorry for myself.
Yeah.
But my kids were not having it. Like they wanted to be
That's right.
happy, you know?
Yes.
And but I think that going through all of that hard stuff, you realize, well, we've talked about what your mom,
Yeah.
like your mom literally got me through one tiny thing she said. I lived on it for so many years. I hope she knows like how important, what an impact she made on me. She told me it was like maybe a couple of weeks after Kelly had passed away. She asked me
Yeah.
to come by her house because she had some books for the kids, and it was like books on grieving or
Yeah.
like losing a parent, whatever, like, you know, a few little books.
Yeah.
And your mom knows like what loss is.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I cannot imagine losing a child. So she had lost a child, she had lost a marriage, like literally
Yeah.
a way of life, the life that she
Right.
knew. Like she knew hard stuff, and she promised me, you will be happy again. And those words stuck in my mind, and I've never forgotten them. And anyone that I talk to that's going through something, this is what I
Yeah.
tell them. I'm like, this really wise lady told me, promised me that I would be happy again. And she was
Yeah.
not wrong.
Yeah.
Every time, like I would feel, you know, I thought about
All the
it.
things,
I thought about it
yes.
for so many years, and I
Yeah.
just knew she's right. And she was.
Yeah.
Like there's like you can be at a point where you think that life cannot, like this is horrible.
Right. Like I can't make it. Yeah.
Like
Or I don't want to
it's
even
hard.
make it.
Life
Yeah.
was just hard. Between losing Kelly and raising kids and
Yes.
work and
Yeah.
the farm and trying to take care of everything, and you think that
Yeah.
life is good now.
Yeah.
And she was so right.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad because you do want to see, I mean, like life is hard no matter
Yeah.
what your specific heart is. I feel like it's both and it's really hard and really beautiful, and there's lows and highs, and I do think the Lord gives us that hope, and he puts people around us if you are looking for
Right.
that and open yourself to that.
I always said, like, I'm not the personality that would, like, put myself out there,
Yeah.
like, for dating
Right.
or,
Yeah.
like, that's just not my personality.
Yeah.
And very clearly. My
Thank
girls
goodness.
my girls have learned from me because they're they're exactly like me.
That's good. Don't
But
change, girl.
I thought if I ever date again,
Yeah.
God's gonna have to like throw him in
Drop
my
him
lap.
in your lap. And here he was.
Yes, but another thought I've always had is I thought about this a lot, like through the years where
yeah.
I was alone. I thought that Kelly and I did have a really good marriage, and like we had all the things that Susan
Yes.
pointed out to me that were blessings from God,
Yeah.
not myself. She's so right.
Yes.
So I had all like the whole package, you know, and a lot of women live their entire lives and never know that.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I don't mean the things like
No,
the
we're
house.
not talking stuff.
We're not talking
Yes.
about the house. We're not talking about the pool.
the
We're not talking
relationship.
about. We're
Yeah.
talking about like the love.
Each other. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of women live their whole lives and never know that.
Yeah.
Like what I had, and I am blessed enough to have that twice. Like
Yeah.
I had that, and
Yeah.
I think for a long time I thought, what's the chances that would ever happen again? And I would not
Right.
settle for less.
Yeah.
And I haven't had to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's so, yeah.
Preston asked me on a date, and I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yes.
And I did, and
Yeah.
that was it.
It's
He's wonderful.
It is
Yeah.
a good ending, and you're getting to live with things that you deserve, and
Yeah.
you're both my friends, but I am really happy for you, and just the way you have lived in a way that inspires me and gives hope, I think, to other people doing it, because
so.
being a single parent, I mean, we're women, so Mom, there is no other people group that I have more respect for than single parents, because it's a lot.
Even with the dad in the picture,
Yes.
it's hard.
Oh yeah.
By
Yes.
yourself, it's like
Yeah.
I can't, like, I say that I can't take credit for everything. I had so many people that
Yes.
helped me, picked
Yeah.
my kids up.
Yes.
If it didn't matter what Bruce or Kim were doing, or I mean, my mom
Yes.
lives 2 hours from
Yeah.
here. If I called her and said I have no one to pick my kids up today,
Yeah.
she'd come and do it.
Yeah.
But Bruce and Kim were always like right here,
Yeah.
and if I needed literally anything, they were
Yes.
right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
A community of people around you is priceless. And as crazy as small town life is, and sometimes annoying when everyone knows knows all your business.
Bruce was probably happy whenever I got married, because he knew he could pass them up to helping off to Preston.
He's like, you can go pick them up.
Like, it is your turn.
That's right. You can mow the lawn. No, it does make you feel good to know that you have people. And like you said, it makes us, we need to be watching for people that need that, because not everybody has a community or family like that.
Right.
And you might be saving someone's life, like
Absolutely.
just by making a meal, mowing the lawn, picking up a kid, honestly, just listening or smiling and acknowledging it. And I think just you've been extremely real about, it was hard and good and all the things in between. I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, and another friend of ours who had lost a husband was talking to her, and she said she's also happily remarried, and she just said it was horrible. I'm happy now and so thankful to be with my person, and sometimes I'm still sad. And she has young children with her first husband who passed away, and so you're sorting that kind of thing out. And it was funny, but I was like, this is a true, real statement. She was like, sometimes I drink a 6-pack. Sometimes I listen to praise and worship, and sometimes I drink a 6-pack while listening to praise and worship. And I'm like, that is a true,
Been there.
that's a true statement. And just
Yes,
so
for
like,
sure.
if you're going through that, it's normal. Allow yourself the grace to grieve. And
you just do the best that you can,
Yeah.
literally, to just get by
yes.
for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
And then it gets like, I don't
Easier.
know, I probably went longer than the average. But you just do what you can to get
Yeah.
by for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it's never easy.
Yeah.
But even before Preston and I started
Yeah.
dating and got
Yeah.
married, it was like we were
Yes,
happy.
you were good. Yeah.
But now it's like
icing on the cake.
it's just happy. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
good. Like it's so hard to at the time, like anyone who's gone through this or going through this, like you cannot imagine ever being happy again. And literally what your mom said to me made me think, if that woman can go through what she's been through and be happy again, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I was just determined. And so you kind of go through like
All the
horrible,
stages.
miserable crying, like everything is, you know, that whole
Yeah.
part of grieving. And then you
Yeah.
go through the mundane, like I just get through every day for, in my case, years.
Yeah.
And then bam,
Yeah.
like so happy.
Yeah.
Like life can be good again.
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't. I have to tell this. I know we said we weren't going to talk about funny things that people said to you.
Yes. This is on the do not say list.
So whenever you're like grieving, your husband just passed away, and someone
Yes.
says, "Oh, honey, you'll find someone else,"
Uh,
or better yet, they're in a better place.
yeah.
At the time, I didn't care that he was in a better place.
Yeah. Good for
Like-
him. I'm stuck
Like,
here.
right?
Yeah.
Or seriously, you'll find somebody else. My
yes.
husband just died 2 weeks ago. You don't
Yeah.
hear those things.
I know. No.
But looking back now, like I know a lot of people, you just don't know.
They
what to
did not
say.
mean
I never
to.
know what to say in that situation.
Yes. Well,
Sometimes you just
know
give them
not
a
to
hug.
say that. Yes.
Say love you.
Say
That's
less.
all you need.
Hug. Better yet, drop off a really delicious homemade cooked meal and don't talk.
Leave something in her crock pot while she's at work.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, we do need to make a
Yes.
line of. I feel like that book would sell. Things not to say. It could be a short e-course. Just
Yes.
read this before you go visit
Yeah.
anyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
you've had good good advice and terrible advice and all the things. I mean, you are inspirational. You threw yourself into life, and I do admire that. And honestly, when you have kids, you kind of, I guess you do have a choice to get out of bed, but they, like you said,
never-
they kind of
I never
pushed
wanted
you.
my kids to use, well, my dad died as an excuse.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't want to use that as an excuse for them.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, like, if they messed up, be like, well, they're
Yes.
probably acting out because of,
Right.
like, no. I didn't want
Yes.
that to be an excuse on my part that I could use for why
Yes.
my kids were behaving a certain way
Yeah.
or something that they could use.
Well, and Kelly would not have wanted that either. Like,
No.
he was so just fun and kind and a light
Yeah.
that they are a beautiful mix of you and he. And something we did talk about that I think to maybe people going through something similar or younger is you have not tried to force like they know Kelly's their dad. He will always be honored as their
Right.
dad.
Yeah.
And just because blended families, that can be very tricky, especially
yeah.
when you're trying to make something happen
Yeah.
that's not. And they can also love Preston.
Yeah.
And
In the
he
beginning,
can, you know.
In the beginning, my kids, especially my two younger ones, when Preston and I started dating, Millie was in college already. And so the two at home were kind of like, what? Like, this
Yeah.
is weird. It was too weird. It
Yeah.
was, but it, like,
Yeah.
they have the best relationship with him
Yes.
now. Like,
Yeah.
they love him. He
Yeah.
loves them. Like, it's
Yeah.
good.
But he was easy with them and didn't push it. And
Yeah,
you
he's great.
listened to them and took their, I mean, I was a front row seat to that. You did let them feel their feelings and talk about it. And you didn't,
Yeah.
you continued living your life and you were going to go, but you didn't, they got to have their feelings too.
Yeah.
And you didn't disregard that. And I'm like, I would say anybody who's kind of in that, that was a really good
Yes.
thing. a way to transition into that. And it's paid off now.
Yeah.
I mean, because life is tricky and transition is definitely tricky, but
yeah.
if
That
people,
was tricky. Like, it was like a weird time. Like, it was such an adjustment for my kids because it had just been, like, for Newt, it was pretty much, he barely remembered his dad. So it was just us.
Yeah.
Me and his sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So to bring a man into the house,
That's
was
right.
like, what?
Yeah.
But he loved him from the beginning.
Yes.
Like, he thought he was like fun and funny, and
well, and he is. Yes.
Yeah.
He is a good,
and they're good.
he's a
like,
welcome addition.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really have any other questions, but you have answered and told a beautiful story, and thank you so much for saying it. Is there anything you would say to anyone that you want to say that we haven't said, or that you would tell anybody kind of going through any of those situations? You may have already said it, but if there's anything you want to throw in,
like, really just expounding on what we talked about what your mom talked about. Like, you can feel like life is horrible. This is awful.
mm-hmm.
I went through years of really, really hard. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Life was hard.
Yeah.
And, like, you can be happy again.
Yeah.
Like, life can be good.
Yeah.
Like,
don't give up.
I'm happy as I ever was, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
which is great
Yeah.
and a gift to be able
in the
say
beginning,
that.
when you whether your husband's going through cancer, you've lost a child, like, whatever, a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought that a nasty divorce where you
Would
lose
be.
like your life that you knew
Yeah.
is just as bad as losing your spouse.
Yeah.
So I've always thought that, and so no matter what that horrible whatever you're going through is, like, you can be happy again.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine in the beginning, but you can be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. We're thankful, and who doesn't love a happy ending? So that's good.
I definitely have that. I feel very blessed.
Me too. Did you hear that, Susan? She's acknowledged.
I am blessed, Susan Ritter. She probably doesn't even remember that. It was 20 years ago. Literally 20 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, that's funny.
She's like, that's not you.
That's right. Amy, we do want another Girls Night Out. We also talked about that before the podcast.
We should plan that.
Let's re-up for that.
Amy should plan that.
That's right. And cook. Yes.
Yeah.
Please leave a meal at my home tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
and
I'm glad we did it.
we'll just continue to watch everything unfold. Thanks for watching today or listening, however you're joining us. And I'm thankful for Kristi and her friendship, and glad you guys are getting to hear some good news. And don't quit. Don't give up. People have been through hard things. We all will go through hard things, and be there for each other, encourage each other, cook a meal, mow a yard, all the things Kristi's talked about. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, and hit subscribe to keep up with all future episodes. We'd also love for you to leave us a 5-star review. That wraps it up for today's Marcy in the Middle. And remember, whatever you're in the middle of, you're not alone. We'll see you next time.